The sport of cycling is a beautiful one. There is one man on his mechanical machine going as fast as the open road without any backing up except for his own will. About 50 people. In other words, there are not teammates that are there to carry the burden until the end, right until the very end. Obviously, he wants to win. But road racing and the riders who are involved in it are not the topic of discussion today. Since we are here to talk about cycling, which is a different thing, I am here to talk about what happens when you and the everyday citizen of the sidewalk decide to purchase a bicycle. One second here. I'm Gary. I love cycling and follow the sport and the pleasure of the sport. I also share what I have learned on my own and from others about this way of life. That's right. Cycling is a way of life when you really get into exercise and the healthy advantages of cycling. So if this video interests you, please subscribe and hit the bell to be notified when I post my next video. Okay, on with the video. 3. You become a commuter, a cyclist, or you sell it on Craigslist after a month and try something else, regardless of which camp you fall into. In order to buy a new bike, the first thing you need to do is gain at least 50 pounds, as that is the first step, because the more obese one is when he or she buys a new bike, the more votes they will give him or her. Taking a picture is like taking a picture. If you get some karma on Reddit, then what you may notice in the real world is that while cyclists don't consider themselves commuters, most commuters consider themselves cyclists as well. There is a general misconception among pedestrians and drivers alike that they're all the same. It is really not the case that this is the case. Commuters commute down the road on their bikes for a variety of reasons, such as getting to the grocery store from work and back home, to commute to and from work, and so on. This contrasts starkly with the commuter cyclist, who does not commute to work anymore as he quit his job to spend more time riding his bike. He has taken his children's college fund off the table. A commuter is someone who, due to his divorce, will never be able to have a relationship with his wife again. As he walks to the bike rack every day, he thinks to himself, "Oh man, I hope my bicycle has not been stolen again." The cyclist, despite the fact that he does not own a lock in order to save weight, is not scared. I predict that his bike will be stolen because that would mean that the thief would have to wait until he gets off of the bike first, which has not yet occurred. The cyclist does not fear vehicles as he has come to terms with his own mortality. That if his life were to end after a middle-aged mother and an SUV T-bone sister velo, while he's running a red light on the way to the start line of his local Cat 3 crit, a life of safety, or the life of a commuter, requires a sacrifice, and that sacrifice is that of safety. The other sacrifice is that of speed. The sacrifice would be something that no cyclist would ever want to make. Instead of risking his own collarbones and supple skin to the harsh realities of walking on the pavement, there is really only one thing that a true cyclist is afraid of, and that is the fear of nature itself, specifically the front end of the car or the sideways wind direction. As a consequence, let's put the basic principle of cycling into practice. Arrows are everything to cycling. As a matter of fact, the cyclist will and must do everything in his power to ensure that he and his bicycle are as light and aerodynamic as possible. Therefore, cyclists should follow the following checklist: bicycle. In accordance with UCI regulations, the maximum weight of a bicycle is 6.8 kilograms. The cyclist is not involved in any sanctioned UCI events. However, he has met many people who have participated in UCI-sanctioned events. Gear that provides protection. Well, cycling has a relatively low impact on your knees. Unfortunately, it doesn't have the same impact on your skull. This is why cyclists need this tiny brain, which they use to avoid traffic that will kill them on contact with their legs, shaved arms, beard, or face. If you want to claim dominance over the peloton with your massive bulge, blacklight crow, and recovery rides to arouse subtle intrigue, then you can choose to wear white light. The remaining rights must be exercised while wearing light wash cutoff jeans and saddlebags. This is not acceptable. Saddlebags are not the same as an arrow. Get your domestique, aka any other rider on the group ride to carry your extra stuff. Power meter, one to measure the power level of your bike, and the other to measure the power level of those around you. In order to ride a bike, one of the most important components is to be on Strava, which tracks your workouts and allows you to compete with your friends. Now, this is all very well and good, but it is not enough. Cycling is his life's work. Obviously, he does not have any friends who use Strava, but only compares to the professionals. Furthermore, the Puck Moon app allows users to see when Puck Moon is within Tinder radius of a cafe and a bike rack. In the event that you are not a cyclist at this point, you might be thinking to yourself, "Oh my God, my husband just bought a bike on Craigslist. In my opinion, we were a good couple. The thing that I am hoping for is a life together where we can have children together. Am I going to have to leave him all the time?" As my children were raised by myself, the only memory they have of their father is that he came home every weekend to teach them how to ride a bicycle without training wheels. You are getting way ahead of yourself because, again, a cyclist would never have children in the first place, as pregnant women are not able to have kids. It is something that we can all aspire to be, while becoming a cyclist is something that we can all aspire to. As a side note, it is very important to note that if you are still young, you should not rush into things. I cannot stress this enough. Cyclists tend to be in their 40s and even 50s by the time they start riding a bicycle. In case you are wondering, yes, I am certainly well past my physical prime. And as you can imagine, it is certainly so. However, being a cyclist has nothing to do with athletic ability. In order to be a cyclist, you have to be at an age where you can give up your dentistry practice and still have a way to fly. To outdo us with your lightweight climate, it is therefore possible to take a helicopter to the top off the mountain and then only ride back down. Let's leave the Tour de France to Olympic track. Cycling to the kids who ride their bikes simply as a means of self-suffering, hoping one day they may get to keep one of the custom $15,000 bikes. Unfortunately, they were forced to ride by their sponsors due to the fact that those bikes have a weight limit of approximately 270 pounds. They won't be able to ride them. If you didn't take up every aspect of cycling, you wouldn't be a real cyclist, in spite of the fact that most journalists are still tainted by the Lance Armstrong drug scandal, and competitors are monitored more closely than ever before. Such is not the case for the cyclist who lives a life of freedom, ordering as many over-the-counter steroids from Egypt he can write it off as a business expense and dope his blood until it is indistinguishable from his Aunt Jemima energy gel. Because unlike his peers, this cyclist is a risk taker, a visionary, and an achiever, and he knows he must do what he must do. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up, and thanks for watching.